think we'll get started, if that's okay with everybody. We're pretty much on time. Well, welcome to the Hot Tech Plus first webinar. My name is Rich Butterworth, and I have been working with Hot Tech Plus for about 3 years now. I was a former middle school teacher for about 35 years in Massachusetts, and also did some coaching in basketball and baseball. And this is from the bottom of my heart, really. I've been involved with technology and in particular heart rate for many, many years when I was teaching. And then after teaching, I worked with many PEP grants, and also worked with data collection with the PEP grants around, what they required, the steps and all that, and the moderate to physical activity levels. So, I've been searching for a long time for a system for a company that I wanted to work with that would listen to teachers. And that's why I joined Hot Tech Plus. And, I'm really not a salesperson. I would never be very good as a auto salesman, that's for sure. But my dilemma here is how do we really get the information about our product out to people? Because I think that we're the kind of the new guy on the block. And I run into this all the time when I go to conferences. I wish we knew before we purchased. I wish we knew about your system. I really believe we have something that we've had our struggles. I won't deny that, but we have. I think we're approaching a product that I feel that really is going to make a difference in the education, and particularly now with the pandemic. I think it's going to be a real game changer. And the reason I think we've moved ahead and developed a product like this is because of some of the people you're going to meet today. Brad just joined our team. Actually, he's been a Colorado teacher for many years, middle school level, and he felt he needed a change, so he's come on board with us, and he's going to be working with both sales and also customer support. I'm really glad that he's going to be here because he's certainly going to make a difference and make my job a lot easier. Brian Hull, the twin, and when you hear them talk to me, you're going to have a difficult time really, determining who's who here. But Brian is actually, probably shouldn't say this, but publicize it, but he is a toy this year, shaped toy, and he's been a high school teacher for many years in Colorado at the Bruce Randolph Middle School, middle school, and he's going to be presenting also with us. And then Chris Meckelberg, been with us from the get-go here, and he's started a company called 5-Star PE, and we've been working mainly with 5-Star PE and Brian and Brad, and we think that they've had a tremendous impact on what we've developed, and moving forward, we just want to be able to share this with you and let you know what we have to offer. If you know any teachers that are going to be that can't make it today for the live webinar, please share this information with them. This whole presentation will be on our YouTube channel tomorrow. Do some few edits and one for you, and then you can certainly, anybody can view it at that time, and we hope that they will reach out after you see this. Please reach out to us and let us know how we can help you. So I'm gonna turn it over to the real brains behind the outfit, Brian and Brad and Chris, and let them kind of run the show from here, and I'll jump in periodically. But thanks to Brian, Brad, and Chris for all the work they put into the presentation, and I think you'll see that how valuable they are to Hot Tech Plus. So we're going to start with Brad first, or Chris, or who's going first?
I could go ahead and go. First and foremost, thank you for everyone joining live, and thank you in advance to people that's going to be viewing this webinar at a future date. As Rick stated, I am the newest member of the Heart Tech team. I taught at the second largest district in Colorado for 10 years, and I decided to resign from my position this past summer due to my extreme passion for heart rate technology and what it could specifically do, not only for students, but for teachers as well. I'm all about making students become lifelong learners and helping teachers become better teachers. And I'm a firm believer that heart rate monitors and heart rate technology truly is one of the best lifetime tools anyone could get their hands on. So throughout this presentation, both myself, my twin brother Brian, and the Dr. Chris Mecklenburg will be going over this webinar. We're really going to be talking about our awesome new features that's been developed over the summer, and an overview of our system that's gotten so much better throughout the last 3 to 4 months. This presentation will be available at the completion of this webinar, along with the other supporting documents that's embedded in this presentation. If you feel that you are interested in the HeartTech Plus system, please contact Corey Mortensen at corey@hearttechplus.com. Or for more information, you could contact Rich at hearttechplus.com. And of course, you could always contact me, since I'm the new member, Brad at hearttechplus.com. This is our agenda. We're going to be talking about why heart rate in physical education. We're going to be talking about the new and improved sensor, which is called the Sensor 4.0. We're going to be talking about some of our updates in our web portal that you could be using no matter what your circumstance is, whether it's purely remote, purely in person, or a hybrid, and the kind of objective data you could collect. We're going to talk about our new awesome HTP mobile app that will be released hopefully by the mid to end of August. And we're going to be talking about an awesome opportunity we're giving everyone in regards to the Sensor 4.0 and our mobile app testing opportunity. So, as stated, I have a huge passion about heart rate monitors. Not only does heart rate monitors measure effort and engagement, but it also produces learning readiness and student achievement. So when I was teaching, I always like to tell my students that physical education is the only subject where you could objectively assess effort levels. And in order to do that in physical education, you need a reliable heart rate monitor and heart rate monitoring system. And HeartTech Plus provides both of these measuring and producing outcomes. So this is Brian Holt speaking now. So obviously the main point of using heart rate monitors and the HeartTech Plus system is to not only objectively view your students, but you can also assess your students based on moderate to vigorous physical activity, or MVPA. MVPA is very important, not just at the state standard level, but also at the national standard level. So when we speak to MVPA, obviously a teacher's goal should be half of the class time should be at the MVPA level. And when we say MVPA, we speak to students being at least in the intensity level of 50% of their maximum heart rate. And if you use heart rate correctly, you can definitely embed this within your standards-based instruction. So speaking of standards-based instruction, as Shape America grade level outcomes, this slide shows you there's many more other than this, but these are some of the main grade level outcomes that you can hit when you are instructing with heart rate monitors and heart rate technology. And it's very important to note that several standard 3 grade level outcomes deals with moderate to vigorous physical activity and allowing students to learn the importance of getting active outside of class, and heart rate technology allows us to do that.
This is Chris Mecklenburg speaking now. I want to introduce myself formally. I'm an elementary phys ed teacher on Long Island from New York. I've been teaching elementary in my building for the last 10 years, and I've been using HeartTech Plus for the last 5, after really being rooted and grounded in heart rate since my undergrad career at Cortland. Myself and a couple other colleagues that formed 5-Star PE all met at the University of Northern Iowa, where we had a master's degree specifically in using heart rate technology with a K through 12 population. So I come from a long history of heart rate. I really want to reiterate everything that the Hulls have said so far about really its importance, and especially now when we're talking about having access to our gymnasiums and being allowed to do that and being seen as valued in our communities. We want to be able to collect that objective data no matter where the student is located, whether it be within our gymnasiums or outside our walls in a remote setting. So definitely what we're going to see today is also what I'm looking for as an educator to pass on to my district as a solution moving forward, depending on how long this scenario will last. I do have a background with a PEP grant. We have purchased objective measures and activity monitors in the past. And what we're really looking for now as a district is a succinct system that allows our teachers to seamlessly see what all the students are doing, not only real time, but on a daily basis, and provide that level of feedback. So that's really where I'm coming from here, is looking for that complete system that I can move forward in my district with in order to provide the objective data we really need now as physical educators to show our value. So here's just some simple statistics that came off of Twitter probably about 6 or 7 months ago, a study out of Texas, and really you could just see the correlation of a student's level of health or fitness score achievement, and then their overall testing scores and absenteeisms and things of that nature. And there's many more research articles out there. These are just some nice visuals that have been shared around before. And it really goes to show that, you know, no matter what kind of tool you're using, that the objective portion of this time is going to be crucial to show that our value inside the gymnasium and to the students with us is able to produce a level of movement that they're unable to acquire when they're at home in an isolated scenario. So in addition to all the social emotional benefits we get from physical education, and we can clearly tie those to heart rate as well, and then we're looking at really taking it to the next step of seeing, you know, how much movement can one get at home while in an isolated scenario.
So in addition, I won't pull up this article, but this is an outstanding resource, and it's a great article talking about the importance of physical education and physical activity during COVID-19. This could also be a great advocacy tool for you when it comes to administrators and or evaluators. So this presentation will be available for you at the end of the webinar, so feel free to use this article as you wish. These are also other research and links to support the use of heart rate monitors in physical education. So if you are knowing for sure that your administration might have some additional money and you want to be a go-getter and try and ask for funding for heart rate monitors, these would be great links to prove to them the importance of heart rate monitors and what heart rate technology could do for students and you as an instructor. So these will be available as well. This is our new and improved Sensor 4.0. If you are watching, if you have the Sensor 2.0, that's still completely fine. Everything is still going to work as it normally does. This is just an exciting new update for potential new customers, or if someone wants to do a buyback program, which we will be explaining later on. But with this new Sensor 4.0, it's much smaller and lighter weight from the 2.0. It's still worn on the forearm and bicep. It is a magnetic charging clip now, so it is much easier to charge. It's known to be as accurate within 1 beat per minute of a chest-based heart rate monitor. It still detects heart rate, tracks steps, cycling, and running cadence like the 2.0. At the end of the presentation, feel free to view this link. The cool thing about this new Sensor 4.0 is it has a 3-zone light function. So as of right now with the firmware update, if a user is exercising at 119 beats per minute or less, it will be blinking blue. If they're working out at 120 to 179 beats per minute, it will have a blinking green light. And if they're working out at 180 beats per minute or higher, the sensor will be blinking red. So this is just another great feature. So students will be able to know what zone they are in if they don't want to look at the screen or if they are exercising outside. We are also working on a vibration alert depending on what zone they are. Hopefully in the near future, the sensor will vibrate so they don't even have to look at the sensor. And it's waterproof, so they are able to swim if they desire to while wearing the sensor. The awesome update we also have to share for you is our brand new charging case that will be available in October, mid to late October. So if you don't like all the wires, this is an awesome case that you will be able to purchase in October. It holds up to 30. It's great for teachers that travel to multiple schools, and it could charge all 30 at once while staying very organized. As of right now, the purchase price will be $300 in October. But this is something I would highly recommend just to reduce the amount of clunk when it comes to the amount of charging cables you would have. So here are now some teaching points on how you could use our apps.
Brad, we had a question from Mary in the chat. Mary has the Scotch sensors, which was our original sensor that we had with our system. Obviously, what she had mentioned that the Scotch doesn't vibrate and doesn't have the magnetic charging. Also, this new updated 4.0 sensor that we have has also the ability to, what else was I going to say, Brad? I'm sorry. It has a newer technology embedded in the sensor, so it makes for more better accuracy. And also it has the ability for this charging case as well. And there will be an ability for memory as well to transport information in the future. So all of the sensors that you may have purchased in the past with our system will still work and be fully integrated with everything you're seeing today. This really is just the latest and greatest version. Sorry, Brett.
That's all right, and thanks for chatting, Mary. So when it comes to some teaching points, Brian's going to talk about some things, how he teaches his students during the use of heart rate monitors. So yeah, we always speak to moderate to vigorous physical activity, of course, but to make it more visual and color-based for my middle and high school students, I always use the rate of perceived exertion scale. So as you can see on this slide, sometimes I have my students just touch the poster of what zone or what intensity level they think they're going to be in. And then I might turn the heart rate display back on, and then they might be able to compare what they're feeling to what they are physiologically in their body with heart rate. Now, again, teaching the rate of perceived exertion through heart rate zone training with the HeartTech Plus system is there are 6 possible zone colors in the system. And as you can see, each zone is based on a percentage of their maximum heart rate. So gray is 40% or below their maximum. Blue is 40 to 49%. Green is 50 to 59%. And then obviously it just goes down the chart. Yellow is 60 to 74, orange is 75 to 89% of their maximum heart rate. And then red is 90 to 100% of their maximum heart rate. And like Brad mentioned with our new sensor 4.0, based on the color of light that is flashing on the sensor, will dictate to the student what their heart rate is based on their maximum heart rate. So this is just a quick review of our display tiles. That's going to be where students will be able to see what their heart rate is, and that represents how fast a person's heart is beating per minute. This is, for some of you that may be somewhat newer to our system, we now have an MVPA timer. So essentially, whenever a user is working out in the yellow, orange, or red, their MVPA timer will go. Whenever a student is in the gray, blue, or green, their timer will stop or pause. And this is also a great way to determine how much or how good of a workout a student had during class. The one thing I really love about the MVPA timer is, if you remember, one of the SHAPE grade level outcomes is students working out at the MVPA level at least 50% of the class. This would be a great closure to ask students if they met that goal. And this will also allow you as a teacher to see if you instructed them well enough, if they were moving at that rate, 50% of class time. And this will also give you some feedback on whether or not your workout was good enough, or whether or not you need to cut down on some instructional time to get them moving as much as possible. This is the back side of the tile. So if you single tapped on a student's name, you would be able to see how many minutes they are working out in each zone: blue, green, yellow, orange, or red. And keep in mind, the yellow, orange, and red represents MVPA. The one really cool thing that I love about the HeartTech Plus system is the point system. So unlike some systems that are currently out there, this could be used as a great motivational tool for students. If they're working out at the gray zone, they get 0 points. Blue zone gives them 1 point. Green gives them 2 points. Yellow gives them 3, orange gives them 4, and red gives them 5 points. So what I love about this when I was teaching is, depending on how hard a student's working, they're going to get rewarded with the most amount of points. This also helps motivate the quote-unquote unathletic students, or the unmotivated students, because this is a great way for them to see that even when they're working out, even if it's at a low zone, they're still accumulating points. And this could also help create friendly competitions with students as well during class. And this also helps students understand the importance of the overload principle and what happens when you're working out harder. This is where you're able to see how many calories a user is burning. Typically, it's students love to see that. The more it becomes more accurate when you input their height and weight accurately into the web portal as well. Chris, you want to talk about this slide?
Sure. When we talk about the percent of heart rate max, this is going to be one of our most important indicators for our students, especially no matter what the teaching scenario is. We want to try and get the students to exercise when they can safely and reach some level of max. I normally teach this in an elementary setting through the use of a group pacer run. And towards the beginning of understanding and using the heart rate monitors in 4th grade, I'm able to, in a standardized way, setting of the pacer run, shuttle run, I'm able to progress the students through their zones in a team fashion. And the students are able to take turns running through each of the laps as a team. And that allows me to see a nice gradual increase in the student's heart rate. And then what's great about the system is that it will report that max heart rate to you as the teacher. So I'm able to see if there's any adjustments that need to be made for individual students or groups of students. I found, especially at the elementary level, about 90% of my students fall between a max heart rate of 205 and 215 beats per minute. And then from there, there's always a couple of outliers. I have a couple of students that would be slightly lower at about 201 beats. And then I've had a couple of students at about 218 beats. So the beauty of our system, or the system here, is that you're going to see the percentage of max that the student's working at real time on your iPad or the screen if you choose to project it. What we have here now on the screen is we're looking now into the at-home app, which is the newest feature coming out from HeartTech. So Brad, if you want to just are you okay to take this for a little bit with the new app?
Yeah. And this is the one thing that I am absolutely ecstatic about. So when it comes to the home app, this is one of the displays that you'll be able to see. So as students are working out, they're going to be able to see how many steps they're averaging to take per minute. Obviously, the higher the intensity, the more steps a person's going to take. And before I forget, so I know this COVID-19 is a huge pandemic and most of us are going to be fully remote for a while. Even if a student does not have a sensor, they would still be able to download our HTP home app and still work out because the phone will still track steps. And if anyone's familiar with the Fit Step pedometer, it's going to do something very similar. It would still track steps and convert that into MVPA depending on what their step rate is. I want to say if they're working out at least at 120 steps per minute, they're going to be accumulating MVPA. And even without a heart rate sensor, they would still be able to upload all of this data into the web portal. So I know some of us might be worried that I only have 30 sensors, so not every kid would be able to take a sensor home. We made sure that we would have this as an option as well, because even if they don't have a sensor, they would still be able to track their physical activity. They would still be able to upload some activity, and they would still be able to engage in some reflection, which would be absolutely critical in the learning process, especially with remote learning. So this is a huge, huge update that we're going to be releasing by the end of August.
Hey, Brad, can I step in here for a minute?
Yep.
Okay, now is that the subtitle you're looking at now? Yeah. Actually, we just met with their engineers today and confirmed what the step tile will look like. So it'll be a step-only tile. You won't show any heart rate data at all. And it's mainly, we want to use it, as Brad said, with people who are do not have a sensor. So it's going to show steps per minute, calories, and then the MVPA zone. So the MVPA for steps for the step tile will be 120 steps per minute, between 120 and 180. And then the tile, the background of the tile will change based on the level of intensity. So if they're below 120 steps per minute, it would be blue, same as the new sensor lights. If they were in MVPA 120 to 180, then it would be the tile would look green in the background. And then if it were above the 180 steps per minute, it would be red. So what we really were emphasizing here is providing schools that have a portal, they could still use it if their their students did not have a sensor at home. And we also wanted to make everyone understand that they could use this on the free version. In other words, you could still use it without a portal, and you could then email your teacher or your mom and dad or whatever the information that you're collecting. Just the downside of that is you wouldn't have information over time in the portal. We feel that the portal is a pretty powerful tool. So I just wanted to kind of give you that little bit of update. Sorry, Brad, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, thank you, Rich. So as stated with the group report, and with the group report, you still will be able to email reports, and we're going to talk about this later on in the webinar. But one thing that's really cool now is coming up soon in the user template that you upload to import all your students. There you will now be able to put in more than one email. So for example, as a teacher, you might want to put in a mom or dad email, but you also might want to put in the student's email. You will now be able to do that. So that's only going to get better with the multiple email options. And this is just a snapshot of what an email might look like after a workout. So it says it will give you points, MVPA minutes, MVPA percent, average heart rate, max heart rate, average step rate, and a lot more as well. So now we're going to really get into the bread and butter of the home app, which we're going to get more specific. And as stated, we are going to hopefully release this by the mid to end of August, because we're really trying to be on a time frame, because we know a lot of teachers are struggling with the remote learning, which is completely understandable. So we're going to be going through different phases. So all of phase one, Rich, don't quote me if I'm wrong, but all of phase one is going to be the August release date. So this is what one view will be, the heart rate and MVPA feature. So obviously, the student's going to be able to see their heart rate. They're still going to have the MVPA timer, calories, points, and percent of heart rate max. Keep in mind that depending on what their heart rate is, that background where you see yellow is going to correlate to their heart rate zone. So if I'm working out at the yellow zone, it's going to be yellow. If I'm working out the orange zone, it's going to be orange, and so forth. And the second picture is the steps only tile. And that's going to be a great option for students that don't have a heart rate sensor, or if you as a teacher don't have enough sensors to send home. This is what they will be able to see to still be able to track their physical activity. And remember, all of this will still be able to upload to the web portal even without heart rate data. That's one thing we really want to stress. Even without heart rate monitors, you could still collect objective data to show students, to show administrators, to show evaluators of what you are doing, even if it's remote learning. This is going to be the swipe page, and students are going to be able to see how many minutes they're working in each zone, and that's also going to be color coordinated. That's going to be a great visual for students as well. Phase two, that's going to be hopefully by late October. With phase two, we're going to be adding the GPS location option. So students are going to be able to track where they ran. At the end of the workout, they would be able to see this map to see the direction and exactly where they ran. And they would also be able to have lap interval buttons. So for example, if a student was running around the track, after every lap they took, they would be able to hit the button, so they would be able to easily track how many laps they ran, which could essentially track the total distance that they ran as well. The phase one education release, this is what will look like after a workout. So this would be a great way for students to review all of their data, specifically what their max heart rate was, what their MVPA was, and how many calories they burned, how many minutes they exercised in each zone. And like Rich stated, even if you did not have a web portal, a student would have the option in the upload button to send an email to their teacher. And that would be a great way to still provide feedback even without the web portal. This is still phase two, like I said, late October. This would be a calendar feature. So at any time, a student could review their history by clicking on the dates. And that way they would be able to see what they did that day, what their heart rate was, how many steps they took, how many MVPA minutes they had, and so forth. So as stated, we're trying to get phase one out as soon as possible to really aid with the remote learning process. And that way to allow you to get your feet wet with the app. And then we're only going to get better and better with as each phase gets released. Phase two, here's a really cool thing. This kind of aligns with our point system in Class for Motivation. In phase two, you're going to be able to create teacher-created goals. And throughout those goals, students will be able to earn trophies at home while using the app. And some goals that could be based on could be MVPA minutes, percent of time spent in MVPA, total steps, total distance traveled, total points and calories. And you as the teacher, you would be able to dictate how a student could earn a trophy. So this could be a really good motivational piece as well. And it could give students incentives to work out while they're at remote learning. This will also be another later phase. This will really help with Shape Standard 4, the social emotional piece. They'll be able to click on which emoji they felt they were feeling at the time, during, and after the workout. And then you will also as a teacher be able to create notifications and announcements. So when students log in, they'll be able to read those announcements or notifications. So that way you are still be able to give good teaching points to students when they log into the app. Brian's going to talk about some exciting web portal updates that we've made along the way as well. Yeah, so thanks, Brad. So not only have we made huge strides in developing this home app that teachers and students can use at home, but we've also really eased the access for our teacher users and for our student users, whether they're on campus at school or at home. So first and foremost, we now have a student login that works and is accessible. So students can now log into their domain name from their teacher's account using their username and password, and they can now generate their own reports, whether it's an individual or class session report, or furthermore, whether it is a date range report, whether it's Monday through Friday, the first day of the month to the last day of the month. Students can now do that on their own to own their own data and reflect on it. On the teacher side of things, we now have user-friendly upload templates where teachers can now import everything in bulk, whether it's all of their sensor sets and sensors, all of their classes, and most importantly, all of their students and their data, whether it's height, weight, age, maximum heart rate, resting or ambient heart rate, or the class the student is now in. So before, teachers had to upload all of their students, and then after that step, they had to manually add each of those students that they just imported into a specific class. Now everything's going to be done on one template, one screen, to ease the access and the user experience. Lastly, we now have the forgot password link working. So again, all of this is just more under the hood type settings that were fixed. But now if a student or teacher forgot their password to the web portal, they will now get a generated email from the system that will allow them to change their password. So more specifically into the student login. So this is a screen progression. When a student logs in, they're first going to see their 7 most recent workouts that they participated in. If they don't want to see any of these, they're going to be able to click view workouts by date in the top right hand corner, which is going to bring them to this blank page here. You will input, or the student will import, a customized date range, a starting date to an end date. Once they do that, they're going to get all of their workout metrics from the date range they inputted, which you're looking at here. If they scroll down on this page here, they're going to be able to dissect their heart rate metric data into minutes, exercise at each of the zones. And the exciting thing is, on the bottom of this page, the students will be able to view individual workout data from individual days or workouts based on the days or dates listed here. So now the web portal features from the teacher end. The teacher in our web portal can view individual reports, which we're seeing here to our right, or they're able to see class or group reports, which we're seeing here to our left. Everything in the individual report, like you're seeing here, and the overview a teacher can see in a class and group report. But what's exciting here is everything is divvied up or dissected into or by student, whereas this individual report is only for one student in one class. Most exciting thing though is we always have overviews listed on the top, whether it's for an individual or whether it's for a group. For this group report, this is, for example, in this 8-session date range report from September 16th to September 30th, there were 8 sessions within this class, and the students averaged 558 points per class period for each of the days in this date range report. And real quick on this note, this could also be an easy way for you to create friendly class competitions for your students. So I know last year my teaching partner and myself, at the end of each week, we printed out the specific week date range report and we highlighted the class MVPA total. The highest class that got the highest MVPA average had an incentive. You always could decide what that incentive is, but students really like to compete among classes, and it also helps create a unified approach per class since each class is their own team. Chris is going to start talking about some key terms to teach while using heart rate monitors. If you're brand new to heart rate monitors, we're trying to give you some good ideas on some key terms to teach while students use heart rate monitors.
Thank you guys, an awesome job explaining that. I just want to piggyback on my scenario in particular. In my district, of course, we've been bouncing around the 3 scenarios, which I believe everybody is bouncing around for the upcoming school year. But really what I'm posing to my athletic director, and anybody maybe in this same scenario can use this same approach, is that I am looking to provide our teachers in our district with less cumbersome, less confusing pathways to get this data. So one thing I was really on the lookout for, and with Rich and Hartech's involvement with really providing educators what we need during this time, the ability to have all of that data in one area as the teacher, no matter where it was coming from, whether I'm in school, on the field, and I'm getting data that way, or students are exercising while at home in isolation, I can still get that in one place in the student profile, and it's one app and it's one website. So really that is going to be the key, because now, especially at my school, we have multiple platforms that we're trying to push information to the children with, and adding multiple things or more things onto their plate at this time would be cumbersome. So to be able to say, you know, all you need to do is download this one app, you're already in the system, connect your sensor, and you're good to participate, and I'll teach you and coach you through the rest of that. So really kudos to the guys working here and putting this together for educators. Like they said, these are just some real terms, and this presentation is going to be available for you to really turnkey this information to an administrator. When we think about funding that may be currently available, whether it be ESSA funding or CARES Act extra funding, we need to fight for those funds, and in order to do that, we kind of need to prove the scenario we're going to be teaching in and how we're going to get this data and why it's important to have this data. So obviously now with symptoms of COVID being rampant and things of that nature, we don't know what the future is going to hold. So we want these administrators to know that we have the technology and the capabilities and the wherewithal to provide all of this content remotely and also collect that data securely.
Chris, if you don't mind me interrupting a little bit, this is Brian, and I just want to mention that at the middle school and high school level students that I do teach, everything Chris is going to go over right now, this is exactly how I teach the terms and concepts to my students. So basically, when I made these slides, I acted as if I was teaching my students.
Perfect. And we talked about max heart rate and the importance of it in this system. And really, the zoning is based off of a student's max. So when you're setting that or putting in a default, whether it be 220 minus their age or anything you would like to use, know that the system will then calculate accordingly. When I see a student that's able to achieve a max heart rate that is above what they are set at currently, I will go in after the fact and adjust it for them, which would then adjust their zones. I can go on to the next slide. Target heart rate and MVPA zone. We had talked about that, all based off of the student's max. Our system will take 60 to 85% as being in their target heart rate zone. And for our MVPA calculator, it will be 60 to 100% of a student's max heart rate will be calculated in MVPA. Resting heart rate. Now, resting heart rate is a little bit more difficult to get, especially in the school setting. What we'll usually get in a school setting is an ambient heart rate, but resting heart rate would be as low as one would get during their sleeping periods of how hard their heart is beating per minute. If we are in this remote setting, a project I have in my back pocket would be for the students to wear the monitor for the time that they are sleeping and kind of be able to maybe get that true resting and add it into their profile, which will just make the impact of the technology that much more. Ambient heart rate we talked about. I usually get this even before we do our pacer runs as 4th and 5th graders. I'll be able to get the students' ambient heart rate just through about a 10 or 15-minute mindfulness yoga session where the students are really focused on their breathing, how they're going to be breathing during the pacer, and then focusing on their heart rate on the screen and visualizing it getting as low as it can. And usually I have students between 60 and 70 beats per minute as an ambient heart rate. So without being able to get their true resting, this is what I would set in the system as their resting heart rate. Recovery heart rate, and one thing that's unique about our system is the ability to track and report on a student's recovery. Even in the home app, students will be able to hit a recovery button. That recovery button will then calculate how many beats in the designated time, either 30 or 60 seconds, the student's heart rate decreased while they were attempting to recover. So this is most beneficial when a student would be almost reaching or achieving their red max heart rate zone or in their max heart rate zone, and then hitting that recovery button and seeing within 30 or 60 seconds how many beats their heart rate can decrease, hopefully getting them out of that working zone. That's a huge indicator of one's health, is how quickly we are able to recover our heart rate back down to a level of resting or pre-exercise level. VO2 max, this has been in our system all along, and this might go to a little bit higher level, whether it be collegiate or university or fitness testing clubs. And this is really using the VO2 max protocol, and that can all be set within our system as well to really fine tune for those high-end athletes. If you're a coach, whether it be track and field or basketball, this may be something you want to investigate for your athletes and really be able to fine tune those metrics and their heart rate zones. And really anytime we're training for heart rate, we're always looking at recovery on the back end. So what is our training load of what our exercise load did during our training activity? And then how quickly can the athletes, students, exercisers recover from that training? And then how many days of rest would they need in order to be back to their peak performance? So anytime you're really analyzing heart rate from that aspect, from a scientific aspect, you're looking to see how much rest time until that athlete can perform at their maximum. Here's the ventilatory thresholds that the guys talked about. That's the VO2 max test. And then here finally is a Foster talk test. This might be a simple thing to integrate, whether it be at home. A student can do this with their parents and take them with that, really expanding the influence of heart rate and PE into the home setting. And this is another way where they can really set their max and see what their ambient heart rate is as well. Now is a little bit more about some funding resources the Heart Tech team has put together. This is just a little bit about what the CARES Act did to piggyback on the ESSA funding. Now this is all federal funds that comes directly to the states. The states then have an individual formula for how much each district receives each year. I know in my case, my district last year, just in ESSA funding, not in any kind of extra funding that we may be going through now, we received $97,000. So that was specifically targeted and earmarked for the improvement of some before school, after school programs, as well as increasing the availability of technologies. And that's really where phys ed can fall into those categories. And there's plenty of articles and resources on the ESSA Act and the CARES Act funding that's coming down the pipeline. So a lot of this really depends on the relationship you and your administrator or your administrator and the business administrator develop, because those funds will be dropped right into the school account. And most times individuals won't even know they're there except for their superintendents, who may have that money earmarked for projects already or may not, and are looking for innovative ways to earmark those funds. And especially now, if we can give a unified system that will cover PE no matter the setting, this is really our greatest foothold that we've ever had to justify getting an objective measure for our classroom. Here are some other documents that Rich and the team prepared. They're all editable and can be easily tweaked for your scenario. Here's something that Brian came up with, especially when these devices are going home to students. This is a little liability waiver, just letting them know that this is school property. So obviously Brian can help coach you through anything you may need with that. That's going to be something we're going to come up against right away in the end of August and September when we try and give these sensors out if we are in a remote scenario. And then I think, Rich, if you want to conclude us here today, and I'll just thank everybody before I get off for your time today and letting me be a part of this. And I'm excited to learn more and get some help from these great guys at Hartech.
I just wanted to, once again, thank Brad, Brian, Chris, and all the teachers who have contributed to our project over the last number of years. But I will say we've got great feedback from our teachers, but this would not have been possible without our owner, Doug Davis, Dave Lean, both out in Washington, Port Townsend, and Corey, who is our CEO, Corey Mortensen. So all of this would not have been possible if it weren't for those three people really giving us the support we've needed over the last couple of years. And because of that support, our teachers have been able to create something I think is pretty special. And I think what really makes us different is the portal. One of the things that really makes us different is the portal. As you could see a little bit when Brian went over the different features there, it's pretty robust. Like I said, we've put a lot of time and energy and finances into developing. It wasn't easy, and we've had some bumps along the way, but we've persevered. And I think now we can all say that all of our team can say we're pretty proud of what's out there, what we've produced, and we hope that people will take advantage of it over the next few months.
Rich, we have a quick question from Mary. It was, her monitors don't have the UDID number, being the Scotia ones. Students can register their monitor right on the home app. So even if you have no contact with students in between today and they would maybe receive a monitor at their house one day, they can take that monitor and easily sync it to the home app. And then you as the teacher would see that UDID number associated with the student's account in your web portal.
Right. So the sensor, joining the sensor to the home app is real. In fact, we've worked with our engineers on that whole process, and it's pretty seamless and easy in terms of whatever. I mean, the teacher really in the home app scenario, the teacher really doesn't even have to know what sensor the child has. If they have one of those SCO sensors, when they get home, they just turn it on, and the Bluetooth information will show there in terms of connecting to it, and it's selected and off they go. I mean, and also we haven't, because everyone's different, we haven't locked out any heart rate monitors usage with our app. So really, there's a number of different heart rate devices. As long as it's Bluetooth, will still connect to our home app. So I think there are a lot of options out there. The Scotia would work seamlessly with if the kids did have that at home. And it doesn't really, and using the home app, It really doesn't matter what sensor they have, as long as they're connected to a teacher and a portal and a class, all the information that they collect will end up going to the portal, and the teacher will be able to view that, and the student will be able to log in and see it as well. So I think the whole process, we've worked hard to make it seamless and easy, thanks to our teachers and our work with our software engineers and our owner and Dave Lane and Corey. I think we're on our way to having a solid product. I will say they're going to make a couple of offers here to anyone that's interested. We're looking for some testers. We hope to start testing the home app next week. Before it goes in the App Store, we want to make sure it's working the way we want it to work. And I don't know whether we really mentioned this and emphasize this or not, but the home app / mobile app will both be compatible with iOS and Android. And the iOS seems to be a lot more people on at least on our team with iPhones. So we're looking for some people with Android devices that be willing to test the app. You could use any heart rate sensor to do the testing. You could use obviously the 2.0 that you already have. We are having a special offer also on anyone that's online here with us. If you email me, we could set you up give you a special price on the 4.0 sensor. It would be $56, and you could buy a sensor for a good deal. So if you're interested in that, you're just interested in being one of our testers, just email me and I'll put you in the group and send you information what you need to know to join us. Really appreciate all of you taking the time to go through our presentation today, and we hope that you feel anytime you need to have questions, you want to reach out to any one of our team members, feel free to do so. Does anybody have any comments or questions? You could write them in the chat and we can end up that way, or we can sign off. Just let me know if there's anyone else that has any questions.
Can I just verbally ask a question? Do you mind?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So I had a couple. Are you ever going to have like detailed how-to instructions or videos on how to set everything up, or are you looking into that?
Yeah, so we have a YouTube channel. There are some videos on there now from what we created in the past, but all of this will be, there'll be videos and written instructions as to how to use it. We have tried to make it easy, but we know that we'll still need to have those things. Yes, we will.
Okay, and then there was another question. I don't know if Chris or who talked about this, but you said something about class competitions. Is that something that would work remotely, or is that something that you just have to do in class?
No, you could do that remotely. When you set your portal up, which I know you already have, you just create your classes and put the kids in that class, and then when they create the data. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to add there, when you're talking competition, it's really the system now has the ability to use goals no matter the setting. So a teacher can set a goal up for a class, for a week, for a period of time, push that goal forward to the student's account on their home app, and the student would be trying to achieve that goal. So as far as competition goes, you could have a variety of different goals you might set for students, one of them being points. And then once they were to achieve that goal, they would get a trophy that would be visible on their home app that would let them know that they achieved it. The teacher would also get record of them achieving the goal during their exercise time. And then you could also put out overarching goals for a long period of time, and the system can identify what student was the highest achiever of those goals that you may have set up. So that has all really been expanded and is being fine-tuned to work at the at-home app level.
Yeah.
And Mary, you're also in the app. When students log in, I believe they would be able to enroll in the class they're in. So then that would also enable you to do class competitions if you wish.
Okay, cool. And sorry for all the questions, but I have another one. Okay, the older sensors, when they're using the actual app at home, do they have to have their phone with them, or will it, if they get out of range from their phone, will it catch up on that data? Do you know what I mean? Do you understand that question?
Yeah, good question. Yes, they would have to have the data show up on the phone that they were using, they have to be within Bluetooth range of that phone. But our sensor it does have memory. So
Your new sensor, right? Your
yeah,
new.
the new sensor has memory. So we just have to, we're working right now with our software engineers to enable that memory. So you could leave the phone in the classroom or wherever at home and go out and do a mile run and come back, and then that data would upload to the phone and then to the portal. That is something we plan on having, yes. Did that answer your question, Mary, okay?
It does. So currently they need to have, with the older sensors, they need to have their phone with them as they work out. But in the future, with the new sensors, they'll be able to separate from their phone.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody have any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Mary said that she has an Android and will be willing to test with us, so that's fantastic. Thank you, Mary. George also willing to test for us with an iOS device, and Andy will be reaching out to you, Rich, with regards to a 4.0 sensor.
Awesome. You just email me at whatever your needs and wants are at rich@hightechplus.com, and I'll get right back to you. And really appreciate, again, all of you taking the time to view the video and share. Let people know that if they couldn't make it today, it'll be on YouTube tomorrow, and they could view it then. And as always, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, reach out to anybody on our team. We'll be glad to work with you. So I hope you all stay safe. Does our team have anything else to add, guys?
Thank you, Rich.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks everyone in the near future to watch this. Us at Heart Tech Plus, we're all about making teachers better teachers and helping students learn more about the importance of heart rate technology. So thank you. And this is Brian Hull. I think one of the big things that's going to really set us apart from others is this home app. And I know as a teacher in Denver, I'm really going to rely on using this home app at least through the fall semester, because it sounds like we're probably going to be 100% remote for at least the first quarter of the semester. So I'm really looking forward to almost continuing what I would have normally done in class in terms of collecting data, but also allowing my students goal setting opportunities and to show my administration concrete objective data that I'm able to collect even though we're still teaching remotely. So this home app is going to be a game changer, not only for Heart Tech, but for me as well as a teacher.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Everybody stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you soon, I hope. Take care now. Goodbye.